will commence. My name is Ed Nardi, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I am calling this public meeting to order at 7 p.m. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up at the commission table, and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you are presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of the commissioners, Delia, and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters in the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the June 1 NRC meeting. At this time, I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves. Greg
Higgins.
Sarah?
Sarah Grimwood.
Gary?
Gary Kleiman.
Thank you, guys. And I believe Nick is out this evening. All right. And with that, we'll dig into the agenda. I think we have one set of meeting to approve, which is the April 6, 2022 minutes. I sent on one minor comment to Karen, nothing of material interest. Okay.
I had a couple of changes that I also sent on to Karen that were more significant, but not really, just changing the tenor of some of the comments I had around the tree preservation bylaw, the tree protection bylaw. So they're just characterizing what I had intended to say, if that was not exactly how it was reflected in the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
I make a motion to accept the April 6, 2022 meeting as amended.
Thank you, Sarah. And we'll take the vote. Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. All right, let's see, commissioner comments. I think, just a note that we'll have a discussion about the proposed tree policy by the NRC at the end of the meeting. Is there anything else on the commissioner's minds this evening? All right, doesn't appear to be. All right, for the director's report.
So we had the garlic mustard poll that ran from May 7th through the 15th, and it was very successful. Last year we had 200 bags pulled, and this year it's over 200. We don't have an actual full count. We're thinking it's around 250. Yeah,
Great.
so really, really good. John Dilworth, who is a resident who was at town meeting, and he heard the Article 46 and 47 presentation, and he reached out to Phil Posner and to Mark Galis, and he said, "Hey, why don't we go do something on the
On the rail trail?
on the rail trail?" So they have pulled 35 bags.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're yeah,
They're everywhere I look. They are.
but we were pretty excited about that. Waters Pond dredge. We don't have all the permits in place. You guys issued a permit recently for that. We're waiting for the water quality certification and Army Corps and Chapter 91. We are asking the consultant to go ahead and start the RFP for the construction or the dredging process. We hope to have that in place this summer, and a contractor to start in the fall with the completion of next year. That's our goal. White Ponds, the APOD, the experimental technology is being put in place this week. We began water quality monitoring on May 4th. So collecting, data on what types of bacteria are there, also what types of zooplankton are there, because the zooplankton are supposed to eat the cyanobacteria. So we understand from two sampling rounds that there's good diversity of that zooplankton population. So we're hopeful that that helps us with non-closures this
Right,
year.
sure.
And Will has been working with Christian Karata, who is an Eagle Scout, and he worked, the Eagle Scout worked with his Boy Scouts to install new signage at 4 locations at the pond. So it looks really good. Yep, those signs have needed replacement for a long time. So we're pretty excited about that and hope that yeah, the wildlife folks are happy about that as well.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you, Delia. All right, I think we have 4 continuances on the agenda this evening without discussion.
Want me to go for it?
Go for it.
To be continued to June 1, 2022, the following: DEP file number 137-1594, DEP file number 137-1599, DEP file number 137-1597, and finally, DEP file number 137-1598.
All right, and we'll take the vote on that. Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I as well. All right, we'll get into our first continuance of the evening. Notice of intent, 286 Barrett's Mill Road, DEP file number 137-1590. And who will be, is this? Oh,
Andrea Kendall
Andrea.
or Dan Gordon.
or Dan? Yeah.
Andrea Kendall here with LEC, Dan Gordon and Chris Ryczinski from Dan Gordon Landscape Architects, Ben Minix from Eaglebrook, and then we have the homeowner Heather Fredette with us tonight. I think this is going to be a quick update. Two things. I guess one thing in particular that was outstanding, that was like on our plate to do from the last public hearing, was regarding the discussion surrounding the footbridge. The homeowner has decided to remove that component from the project scope. So the plans that we submitted a couple of weeks ago reflect that change, and all elements of the footbridge, the details on the plans have been removed. The second update is the engineer issued their comment letter last Friday. We received that. And that there's really one comment that needed a response, and Eaglebrook addressed it. It was regarding a mounding analysis in support of the stormwater management. He provided that feedback back to the town earlier this week. So from our understanding, that's been addressed. Of course, the engineer will I'm not sure if he reviewed it yet, but I'm sure that's one thing that's outstanding. At this point, we feel like we've addressed everything. Hopefully the commission feels the same way, and that hopefully that we can close the public hearing and work on the conditions and special conditions in support of the order of conditions.
Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, I think, we've kind of exhausted the, review of this. So we appreciate that from the prior 2 meetings and the site visit. And I kind of read through the CPW's comments. So it looks like you've kind of pinned all that down. So I don't really have any comments at this point in time. Any other commissioners have?
I very much appreciate your not doing the bridge. I will be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Gary, you good as well?
Yeah, no, just recognize that was a sacrifice on the homeowner's part, but preserving the wetland intact is great. So thank you.
Okay.
And CPW did review it very quickly, and he got it on Monday, so he just had a very quick look, but thought it looked fine.
On the
So-
mounding analysis?
On the mounting
Yeah.
analysis. So we just included something in the special conditions that if the soil testing changes,
Right.
then that will have to be revisited.
Okay, for the comment.
Quite unlikely, it was already tested.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think with that, we do have an order of conditions.
Yeah.
Ready to go?
So I make a motion to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions for 127 Tarbell Spring Road, DEP file. No?
No, this is
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
it's a long one.
286 Barris Mill Road, DEP file 1371590, 90, with findings A through E, standard conditions 1 through 20, and special conditions 21 through
55.
55. Thank you.
Second.
All right, and we'll take the vote. Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Thank you all. Good luck with the project.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, the next continuance is an RDA for 127 Tarbell Spring Road, RDA file number 22-7. I think this, Rebecca, good evening.
Hi, yes, hi. Rebecca Parkhurst, and I'm the homeowner. And I think since the meeting 2 weeks ago, mostly, we removed the rain garden and the woodland play area from here because they're really just not priorities. And so the focus is on the retaining wall and plantings in the front yard, and then continued removal of invasives and planting of natives along the stream bank there. So I also updated the waiver request language and added more details. So we planting, both removal and planting will be done by hand using native soil, not introducing any soil and any new soil. And we also updated the erosion control boundary. So I included in the package there, we're going to be using a filter mitt erosion control boundary, and I have the quote there for that. So
Okay, thank you, Rebecca, for the synopsis. And yeah, it looks again, kind of cleaned it up a little bit, pretty straightforward. I don't have any particular comments after last hearing's discussion as well. Any
Okay.
other commissioners have anything?
No.
Okay. All right, is there any public comment in regard to the application? Oh,
Can I have a comment?
Gary, did you have a comment?
No, I was saying I don't have any issue.
Okay,
No,
all right,
I'm good.
all right. So any public comment? All right, I don't see any. So I think with that, we do have a motion.
Make a motion to move to, well, for 127 Tarbell Spring Road, RDA file 22-7, to move to issue a positive determination, number 2B, and a negative determination, number 3, with the following conditions. Number 1, a pre-construction site visit shall be held with DNR staff and the contractor to review straw wattles and limits of work. Number 2, stockpiling shall occur outside the 50-foot buffer zone. And 3, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second.
All right, thank you, Greg. And the vote, Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Thank you, Rebecca.
thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, so the last continuance this evening is a notice of intent, 48 Elm Street, DEP file number 137-1602. Let's see, is David going to be speaking this evening? Okay.
We caught him by surprise.
Yeah.
No,
Hi, Dave.
I think it's the nick of time here. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Phew, that was a close. one.
Perfect.
Right.
All right.
Okay, good evening. My name is Dave Burke, Wetlands Resource Specialist, Wildlife Biologist. We are in front of your board this evening with continuance for a notice of intent filed at number 48 Elm Street by Kelly and Paul Stanislausik. We went through site description, existing conditions. In short, the project is within the outer riverfront area. It is, the proposal is a 250 plus or minus square foot addition, a wood framed addition on a knee wall. So I think we went through the construction, erosion control barriers, and things were in place. Delia left it up to us to afford some offsetting mitigation in the form of plantings. So the Stanislausiks and I came up with a rendering, which is on a plan before you, that shows a multitude of shrubs and trees. Yep, thank you, Delia, including silky dogwood, winterberry, rhododendron. There's a little legend on the side with sizes, and that would be to account for our use within the riverfront area, and also to mitigate for the removal of the 3 trees at hand and several shrubs in the rear yard. So that's it in a nutshell. We spoke today. I was in the office and put together a little explanatory notification disclaimer, but something that certainly is binding. It binds this plan to your order of condition, assuming that that is forthcoming. So with that, open to questions.
Thank you, Dave. And Delia, so you're comfortable that
Yes.
disclaimer fuel
So
ties the plan?
the plan has been signed.
Oh, it has been.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what you were shooting for.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
fine. I think at the end of the day, appreciate that, Dave, appreciate the mitigation and kind of laying it out in the appropriate resource area as well. For the most part, I think it was relatively straightforward at this juncture. Any comments from the commissioners on it?
No, that's good.
Okay.
That's what we asked for.
Any comments from the public? Kind of looking both ways.
Yeah.
All right, seeing,
Let me
Yeah.
just
You check?
here. I see no questions.
okay, so seeing no public comment, I believe we have a order of conditions ready to go.
Yes, so I move that we close the hearing on 48 Elm Street, DEP file 1371602, and issue an order of conditions to include findings A through C, standard conditions 1 through 20, and special conditions 21 through 52.
Second.
All right, thank you, Greg. We'll take the vote. Greg,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Thank you, Dave. Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much for your input and consideration. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Good.
You're welcome.
All right, so Greg, you're going to recuse yourself
I
on
am.
this one?
I do.
Okay, from 228 Park Lane. So this is a new application this evening. Notice of intent, 228 Park Lane, DEP file number 137-1595.
Can I just check?
Yes,
Yep, with only 2 of us here,
3.
sweet. You got Gary.
so he doesn't need to be here for this.
No.
Yeah, I think we'd probably be okay.
Yeah.
Right, is that?
Still voting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so with that, Molly, are you out there? You see Molly out there?
I
Or
don't.
how
We're
about,
ahead of schedule for the first time
Well,
ever.
So we are ahead of schedule.
Oh.
oh,
We're
okay.
scheduled to take this on at 7:25.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
actually should
3
just
minutes.
move on to something else that does not require
Timing.
a time. So Greg?
Yeah.
You're back.
COC.
You want to do a COC? Why don't we do that?
You missed me?
Yeah, we realize we can't do it without you.
What did you do, cancel?
No,
Go
we're
ahead,
early.
schedule.
We're ahead of
So we're
schedule.
gonna do the COC at the end, just to fill the time.
Oh.
For 3 minutes before 7.
We're ahead of schedule.
Keep
Done
the train
good
moving.
work.
Keep the train moving.
All right.
Okay, so this is a certificate of compliance request for Reynolds 42 Shore Drive, DEP file number 137-1531. The homeowner had requested approval to reconstruct steps in this location, a wall here, and steps here, and then installed steps here that were not permitted. And the commission reviewed this a few months ago and said, please remove those steps. She did. She left a landing here that was not originally permitted. Here is the 50-foot build zone. And so a portion of that is within the 50, I'm sorry, that is natural heritage designation there. And the 50-foot is in the dotted line here. So the entire landing, which I have photographs of, they're in a mail. so you
Yeah,
can see
they're in
them.
the
We saw it.
Yeah.
It's entirely within the 50. And so the.
And they want to keep it. I mean, they intend to keep it.
Yes.
Yes.
So with that, keeping it, it just calls for now the mitigation, right, within the 50 at 10-1,
Right,
based on, is it a 4x4?
yes,
Okay, so
right,
160 feet of planting mitigation.
right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I think it, as we discussed, it makes sense to hold open the COC until that work's completed, reviewed, and then we can issue the COC.
Right.
Okay.
Right, so I can follow up with the homeowner and just ask them to put in the 7 shrubs.
Yeah.
That would be required for the 10-1 mitigation for that. Or, if she chooses to remove it, that's fine too.
Right. Yeah, and then we just be updated as it progresses. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so with that, we'll just hold off on it for the moment. All right.
Just a question, I mean, Delia, is there 160 square foot of space in the 50 for mitigation to go in? Like, is there?
There is, so if I let me see. If
You
I
get that
can-
picture of the hillside, seems like there'd be,
Yeah. let me see if I can-
Yeah, but I mean, there's already some plantings there, right? So it's,
So that's the location of where the steps were. This is the landing that is still remaining, and the steps
Yeah.
have come down over this retaining
Yeah.
wall. So there's, plenty
Yeah.
of room on either
Yeah.
side of that, but I
Yeah.
think,
It's a good question, though.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
it's not displacing other native plants that are already there.
Right,
That looks
right.
pretty bare. Yeah.
Good thought.
Isn't it like-
yeah, doesn't appear to be. All right, with that, 7:25, we're back on track. All right, so we will try that again. Thank you, Greg. Once again. All right, so Greg is going to accuse himself. All right, so notice of intent, 228 Park Lane, DEP file number 137-1595. And it looks like Molly is here. Good timing as
Hello.
well. Good
For the
evening.
record, Molly Abendorf with Stamsky McNary. I'm representing the applicant and homeowner Rebecca Kolowath. The property is located at 228 Park Lane. And this hasn't been before the commission yet, but we did receive initially some comments from Colleen about an additional wetland area. So the wet flags you see on the northern side, 1, 2, I believe 9, that was the original delineation. And then Colleen figured there was more wetland on the southern side of the property. So her and Dave Crossman from B&C Associates went back out to the site and located the wetland and added the additional flags. That did put some of the proposed work that wasn't originally in the 50-foot into the 50-foot. So we did provide an updated impervious area table. And the work within the buffer zone consists of, so currently in between the garage and the house is an existing breezeway. So it is covered by a roof. They intend to make that part of the building. And there is a very minor additional impervious area with that. Additionally, there is a porch proposed in front, and a very small amount of that does fall within the 50-foot because the existing house is within the 50-foot. The closest point of the existing house is 16 feet from the wetland area. So all of the work is further from that than the existing dimension. And additionally, there is an existing deck in the back with some stairs. They are proposing to replace that deck and add wraparound stairs. Also proposed planter box adjacent to that. And the proposed patio is south of the proposed deck. And that was the additional area that did fall within the 50-foot no build zone due to the additional wetland area. So some additional plantings were added in the mitigation area for that. And we did provide a mitigation area. You can see that to the southeast of the dwelling there, just adjacent to that wetland. I believe there's not much ground cover there. So this is a good place to add, kind of that buffer to the wetland area. And there are 21 shrubs to mitigate that area in the 520 square foot mitigation area. And there is a plant schedule. And that is pretty much it, except, the small dots you see around the house are helical piles proposed by a structural engineer to provide additional structural support to the existing foundation. So those will just be drilled. Not a whole lot of disturbance for that. And something that was added in the second round, there's an existing condenser pad to the south of the house that will be removed, and then two proposed condenser pads will be just south of the garage. And the impervious area for those was included in the calculations as well. So if the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Molly. I just, one question I had was just, trying to understand from the picture, I think that was provided, the back deck, the existing deck between the two wings of the house. I think the note says it's kind of replacing existing decking material and adding new stairs, but it seems like the deck is, at least by looking at the picture, it seems like the deck is getting a little bit bigger as well beyond the wing of the house, as well as the additional stairs. I just wasn't able to really determine the difference between the existing and the proposed new deck.
Yeah, so I think, good question. I think it is hard to tell because the proposed deck does fall within the footprint of the existing. The only thing that is expanded here really are the stairs. So you can kind of see where that 50-foot buffer zone line is. There's a line that goes through those stairs. Those are the existing stairs right there.
Okay.
So that
I can't see that at all.
Yeah. Is that the line, like a line under the dot, or?
Yeah,
So
so
that's-
it's, no,
Where-
a little further south. Yeah, so those, if you want to zoom in a little bit, it might be a little more obvious.
Molly, I guess, and again, not to make too big of a deal out of it, but at the end, when I look at the picture that's provided in our thumbnail, it looks like the deck returns into the house on the short wing, and this one seems to show that the deck is 3, 4, 5, 3 or 4 feet beyond that wing of the house. So it just seems like there's a, again, it's not a big deal, but there seems to be a little bit of an expansion of the deck and then the new stairs, at least by way of picture. That's all. That's why it's hard to tell exactly what's going on there a little bit.
Okay,
So it would be helpful to have that
Overlay,
existing conditions,
as we usually see,
right?
right? Kind of the, here's the existing, here's the proposed, whether it's stairs or a small, expansion of the deck, just so it's easily discernible.
okay, I can maybe shade
Yeah,
the extent of the existing
that's
deck and
fine.
stairs. Okay,
Yeah, if you could shade the, the existing deck and the shared stairs, and just so we can see that in that, a simple overlay on this plan, that would be great.
okay.
It's just hard to see. I don't see where the existing structure is. I just see the proposed.
Yeah, no, I don't,
So I see it,
I-
here, I can see that that's existing and that
yeah,
this is existing, but where's the existing?
she's gonna have to add it.
Right,
I think
okay,
that's
so I'm not sure hatching is gonna make that clear. Is it?
Or maybe
I
a
think it
different
will.
hatching, just to,
Okay,
you know what I mean, or something
Okay.
I
that
mean,
just says,
It's hard to tell because it's the same footprint. So
Right.
there's not a difference where the line is for the existing deck and the proposed replacement deck because it's the same footprint. But
But I think
to
the
make that
hatching will,
clearer,
yeah, the hatching or shading will make that clear.
yeah.
I can either do that or I could provide maybe a separate detail off to the side, just showing just the existing conditions with none of the
Sure.
proposed.
Yeah, whatever you think makes it
yeah.
clear, that's fine. Whatever you determine, that would be helpful. Let's see. I think there was a comment from staff in regard to the, mitigation area, considering the soil, site prep, planting spacing specification. I think, Delia, are we
Yeah,
good with that in terms
So
of?
I'm sorry, Molly, I did not get a chance to follow up with you on this one. But we are looking for some additional information on just how the mitigation area is going to be prepped. So we have, this area that's, it's a little, I'm a little puzzled by, this sort of straight line mitigation area. And I know that there's a berm there. I don't see any grading. So I'm just trying to understand a little bit more about how that site is going to be prepped to be restored to a mitigation condition rather than a landscape bed or, planted on the berm or anything like that. So.
Okay, so we have that. And then I just had one question actually on just one of the contours. Delia, could you, it was
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of the house or upper portion. It was really the 100-foot contour, Molly. You see how it comes through the planter box there?
Mhm.
And then I think it kind of comes out the other side of the house, and it just seems like it's different than the other contour lines that are much more faded, if you will. Is that?
Yeah, so that's just how we do our surface because it's a major contour. Every interval of 5 is going to be a heavier contour. So
Okay.
that's the only reason that it is a heavier
Okay.
line type.
Okay.
So
But
where
did
does
it-
that tie into?
I think it,
So the surface just ends there. We didn't
So that's the end of
gather
the survey.
data yet.
okay,
Oh, okay.
all right. It just seemed like there was a loose end there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay, thanks for that explanation.
Yeah, of course.
And then I think the last commentary piece from staff and on their review is just getting an idea of, O&M on the permeable pavers that you're going to be proposing and maintenance of that, just going
Okay.
forward for the record.
Okay.
Stockpile area on the plan would be helpful, typical. And perhaps just the access route on how you're going to do the work in terms of how you're going to get to the back of the site, if you will.
Do you want a note on the plan that speaks to that or just an explanation at the next meeting or how do you want that presented?
I would think a note on the plan is always good to have, right? Just for everybody's benefit, including the contractor and et cetera.
Mhm. So, and the 50-foot no build zone waiver request should be updated.
Right.
Sorry, what should be updated with the 50-foot?
The waiver request.
Oh,
So just because the delineation changed.
okay.
All right, Sarah, you good?
Yeah.
Gary?
Yeah.
You good?
looks
Okay,
good with those things, yeah.
all right, we'll go to the public. Any public comment in regard to this application? Sheila, you seeing anyone?
Let me just check here. I am not.
All right. Molly, would you like to continue to the next meeting if you can kind of tidy up the plan and
Yes, and when would the next meeting be, on the 1st?
on the first, so it'd be Friday at midday?
Friday at noon?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll shoot for that, and
Okay.
if anything, we'll push out a little bit, we'll definitely try and get it in by Friday.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, have a good evening. All right. Greg, ready to roll? Yeah, you good? Okay. All right. All right, the next new application this evening is an RDA 604 Old Marlboro Road, RDA 22-8. And is Christian here this evening or Laura?
Yep, I'm here.
Lauren is
Okay.
here as well.
Good evening.
Just trying to get my video working here.
Yep.
All right, there we go. All right. Hi, I'm Christian Lancio. I'm the architect for a proposed sunroom at 604 Old Marlboro Road, in place of an existing screen porch. And we are looking to get a determination on whether the proposed project is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. The reason being, the existing screen porch is in the 100-foot buffer zone to a wetland by about 3 feet, including a roof overhang. And the proposed sunroom will end up encroaching another foot into that buffer zone in one direction, and then about 3 feet in the other direction, adding about 35 square feet of new footprint and roof overhang within that buffer zone. And so I meant to introduce Lauren Beersford, who's here too. She's the owner of the house.
Hi there.
So,
Good evening.
Welcome.
are you gonna flip back and forth between the PDFs or?
You are welcome to share your screen if you would prefer.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can- Yeah, Christian, it's a relatively straightforward project, so if you just want to just touch on it briefly, that would be appreciated. Yeah. Yeah. This
Okay,
is-
great.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Just a second here.
They look like very nice drawings, by the way.
Yeah.
Are you looking at my screen now?
No,
Not yet.
No. Sorry about that. Who's disabled? It says it's disabled.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is. Hold on. Try now.
All right. There we go. All right. So this is a photo of the existing, the screen porch there. This end of it is within that buffer zone, and there's some bushes that were planted after construction of the house around it. So other than that, there's no natural vegetation that would be removed in the process of doing the addition. Yeah, it's just those two bushes there.
Yeah.
And so I'll go to the drawings now. I'll just use my model. So here's the existing screen porch. Here's the plan of it. This is the existing roof overhang, and here we have the approximate location of the 100-foot buffer zone. And when we go to the, this red line represents the proposed roof overhang. So you can see we're adding, a little bit of space here and a little bit of space here within that buffer zone. And you can see that here in the proposed plan. This red line now indicates the existing footprint of the screen porch, and you can see where the proposed addition would lie.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So, and then just a second, go back to,
Yeah, very nice.
yeah, these were just the drawings that you had on file that show the proposed, and that's what the existing is. So you can see the difference there. And then in the site, in the plot plan, you can see that it's 96 feet approximately to the overhang of the proposed addition to the wetlands. So, so with that, I think it's pretty straightforward. But with that, I open it to any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Appreciate the overview. Any comments from the commissioners on this one? Pretty straight away.
Our job is to protect the wetlands. I can't see 3 or 4 feet
Yeah,
right there.
no,
Impacting.
pretty mild. Gary, you good?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. Any public comment regarding the application?
No, thanks.
Take one of those? All right, you don't see anyone?
Would you mind stopping your share, please, Christian?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, just a second. Oh, all right, it's right there. All right, I think I stopped it.
Okay. All right, with that, I believe we have a motion.
Yes,
Yes.
I like to make a motion for 604 Old Marlboro Road, RDA file 22.8. And move to issue a negative determination of applicability, number 3, with the following conditions. Number 1, a pre-construction site visit shall be held on site before work begins. Number 2, a native plant list. Native planting list shall be provided to natural resources staff prior to the pre-construction meeting. Number 3, landscaping debris within the 25-foot no disturb zone shall be removed and properly disposed of prior to the pre-construction meeting. And number 4, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work is being conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second.
Thank you, guys. In the vote, Greg,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Good luck with the project.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right. The next application is an RDA 1266 Lowell Road, RDA file number 22-9. And we'll be talking this evening regarding the project.
That will be me. My name is Robert Melvin from Stamsky and McNary. I'm representing Paul Griesinger, who is the homeowner of 1266 Lowell Road.
Good evening, Robert. All right, you want to give us an overview?
Sure.
Straightforward.
So the homeowner is looking to construct a barn in place of the existing barn that is there. It's sort of centered on the lot there. The existing has a bit of shading around the footprint of it. And the new one has the thicker line just kind of going over it. And we are proposing a new septic system just to the north of that. Actually, sorry, that's to the east. And there will be some grading, but none of the sewage disposal system or the grading will be inside the buffer zone. what will be inside the buffer zone is construction access that we're proposing. So basically vehicles will travel up the driveway, staying towards the left side of the drawing here. And they're going to continue down the ramp, which is just to the left of the proposed barn. And this is just for, any excavators or any vehicles carrying materials for the construction of the sewage disposal system. Nothing is being changed or altered in the buffer zone. And any minor disturbance would be seeded and loamed with 4 inches. That is it.
Thank you, Robert. Looks pretty straightforward from what we can see, what I can see anyway. Greg, Sarah,
Nothing.
Gary?
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it looks fine.
Okay. Any public comment regarding the application? Deal, you see anybody out there just by chance?
I do not.
All right. I think with that, we have a motion for this one as well.
Yes. So I make a motion for 1266 Lowell Road, RDA number 229. And move to issue a negative determination of applicability number 3 with the following conditions. Number 1, a pre-construction site visit shall be held on site to inspect erosion controls before work begins. Number 2, all disturbed areas shall be loamed and seeded. And number 3, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second.
All right, and we'll take the vote. Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right. The next application this evening is a notice for resource area delineation, 67 Nut Meadow Crossing. And we do have a DP file number 137-1605. And is Matthew here this evening?
I'm here.
In person. There you go. How are you?
And we also have Andrew, who's the wetland scientist.
Good evening, Andrew.
Thank you. Did you want to actually talk? You've probably done many more of these than I have.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the applicant, I'm Andrew Gorman from Beals and Thomas. We are seeking an order of resource area delineation to confirm a bank delineation on 67 Nut Meadow Road. The property is undeveloped and forested, predominantly comprised of mixed oak and pine canopy. We also have quite a few birches. We reviewed the site a few months prior to filing the ORAD or the NRAD, and we didn't identify any bordering vegetated wetland. However, we did delineate the boundary of a bank associated with a pond. Other resource areas on site include land under water and water bodies that would be associated with this pond. The water body extends off site to the south and appears to be associated with a stream system that goes under Powder Mill Road. And would respectfully request an order of resource area delineation should the staff and the commission find the wetland boundaries to be accurate.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Seems like the staff seems like it's in good order. So no comments here. Certainly.
No comment here.
All good. Gary?
No, if staff's confirmed the accuracy, then I'm good.
No. All right. Any public comment regarding this application? None? All right.
Thanks for getting it on this.
So seeing none, I think we have a motion as well.
Yep, I make a motion to close the hearing on 67 Nut Meadow Crossing. And that file 137-1605 to close the hearing, and issue an order of resource area delineation confirming bank flags BFA 06 through BFA 14.
Second.
All right. And with that, vote. Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Thank you. Guys, good luck
Thank
with
you
the
very much.
project.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, moving on, we have our next application this evening. It's a RDA 701 Bedford Street, RDA file 22-10. I think Theodore here.
That's me, but call me Ted.
All right, good evening.
And Karen, nice to see you. Delia, it's actually nice to finally meet you face to face.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yes. I work as a volunteer in the Trails Committee.
Ah, great.
In fact, I just submitted a report to Will about White Pond today. 2 trees down.
All right. You want to just give us a brief overview? I think, again, it seems relatively
Yeah,
straightforward.
this is
but-
super straightforward. In
Yeah.
fact, it's so straightforward that, like, you know, my builder who's in Lunenburg can't even make it tonight, but hopefully you've got all the information here and the drawings. I've got it all here too.
I think so. We could put it out. Just give us a brief overview.
Please do. So here's the deal. It's a house built in 1924. The deck is, I mean, and Colleen came out and she took some photos of it. There's, from what we can tell, I actually went to go take a look at the up in the building inspector's office. And there's no permit that was ever for the deck that we can tell that's separate. It's pretty clearly, from what we can tell, pre-1975. I chuckled because it's in really bad shape. So we just want to replace the existing deck. We're not going to go out an inch further, and we're actually going to compress it by 2 feet.
Oh, okay.
So it's now going to have less of a footprint overall than it currently does.
Okay, so in essence, a replacement in kind and might be slightly smaller in the end.
Correct.
Okay, seems pretty straightforward. All right, commissioners, any comments on this one? Gary, you good?
Yeah, I am just curious how close it is to the resource area.
It's an intermittent stream that's referred to in the back there. And I think it probably shaves off, from what we can tell, existing wise, by like maybe a foot or 2.
You know, I'm just wondering, is it
Like
like
a red line?
Gary,
in the
this is
50s,
the
then
25
That's the
That's
25
25.
here.
in
Yeah,
magenta, and the orange is the 50.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it is,
I mean,
Yeah.
clearly this house wouldn't be built today, right? Like we know
Right.
that.
But anyway, yeah, no, I'm very happy to see an improvement of any kind. So that's great.
okay. All right, any public comment regarding this application? Seeing none? All right. So I think we have another motion.
We do. So, this is the motion for 701 Bedford Street, RDA number 2210. And I move to issue a negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. Number 1, the deck replacement shall be an in-kind replacement. Number 2, a pre-construction site visit shall be held with DNL staff and the contractor to review straw wattles and limits of work. Number 3, stockpiling shall occur outside the 50-foot buffer zone. Number 4, straw wattles shall be installed between the proposed deck and the wetlands. And number 5, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. And we'll take the vote. Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
I,
And I am an aye as well. Ed, good luck with the project.
Thank you. We're
You're off
extra
and
room
running.
for us. We need it. And just so I understand like how it works mechanically from this point forward, like
Rubber stamps.
Not for her.
like what does like my builder need to do in terms of the permit that I just don't know what happens. 'Cause
The
I'm a
building permit?
regular guy.
The building permit?
Yeah.
So now that we have this approval, Karen can sign off on it and the building permit will be issued, I think, pretty much de facto.
You'll get our permit with all the information that you just wrote down, and then I'll go in, I can do that tomorrow and sign off on the building for natural resources.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Good to go.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Have a good
everybody.
evening.
Bye.
All right, let's see. I think we have,
So we do, so Mark White is not on the call, and I know
Oh.
he's hoping to be here. Molly is here too. But
Okay.
He does want, so I had told him if he was not here, we would jump over him.
Okay, so I guess we could go to,
We have a minor
We have a
mod.
minor mod, HBC.
yeah, I was gonna say we have 158 Laurel Street, right? All right, so we will jump to minor modification. That's 158 Laurel Street, DEP file number 137-1575. And Ryan, are you gonna just touch on this evening?
Yes, I'll try to be brief. Thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
for the record, my name is Ryan Proctor. I'm with Dillis and Roy Civil Design Group, representing the owner and applicant, Hills Brothers Construction. So this project, which consisted of the demo of an existing house and the construction of a new house and driveway, was before the commission in the fall of last year. And it was issued an order of conditions. So after the fact, we are now proposing to irrigate the disturbed areas that were approved to be lawn areas outside of the 50-foot no build. But some of those areas that we're proposing to irrigate are within the 100-foot buffer zone and are depicted as the hatched area on the plan in front of you. Again, I would say that these areas were proposed to be disturbed before and was granted approval. So we're not proposing any new disturbances. In addition to being outside of the 50-foot no build zone, we are also outside of the approved tree protection areas that are also depicted on the plan. So that's all we're asking for tonight. I do want to be brief, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. And just to follow, once you've located the sprinklers and installed, they will be depicted on an as-built plan ultimately, though, correct?
Absolutely. We'll show those on the plan that we submit when we file for the certificate of compliance.
Okay, thank you for that confirmation. Any comments from the commissioners on this?
That's the point I would
Yeah.
be asking.
Okay, Sarah, you good?
Yeah.
All right, Gary? Good?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. All right, I think with that, we have a minor motion necessary on a minor modification.
So I move to approve.
Go ahead, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
DEP file 137-1575 at 158 Laurel Street.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Greg. And the vote, Greg?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you all for your time. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. All right.
So we can go to the Assabet River Bluff
All right.
uniqueness determination.
Can you put that in English, what that means?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that all
What the hell are we
about?
doing?
So this is
Please.
new for us. It's always in the background with the closing documents, but so chapter 30B is the state procurement law that requires municipalities follow certain criteria. If you are looking for goods and services above $35,000, you need to go out for a request for proposals. So if we were going to purchase this land under 30B, we're supposed to go and advertise it. And
But we're buying.
right.
So who would,
So this is from town council yesterday.
All right.
This is why it came on the
Oh, we
agenda
paid them too
yesterday.
much.
And Greg, this is why it's unique.
Right.
If we just wanted any,
For October Farm, we haven't done this for, and
Wow.
she said it's probably,
Yeah.
it's just in the background of the closing documents. So they just recommended that it's something that is just done. It's placed in the central register, that the town is acquiring a parcel without going out for bid. And it's spending that, and we're spending, 1.2 million of town funds to acquire this land. But we're not putting anything out to bid to do so. So she said, just get a vote from the commission to allow for this, basically saying that we're doing this because it's a unique property and there's no definition for how that's defined or described, but she recommended that we get this vote. And so that basically clears us for any requirements of Chapter 30B. And that will be noticed in the Central Register so that it's sort of publicly known.
It's out there.
So all our other purchases were improper, but this one.
I'm assuming that they all got noticed in the Central Register and it
Get a whole
just
bunch of
didn't
land tomorrow.
come to the NRC for a vote. Right.
Do you need all the verbiage with?
I make a motion. Do we have to read this whole thing? Oh, Gary, go ahead.
So I move to determine that advertising under General Laws 30B for the town's acquisition of the property consisting of approximately 6 acres, commonly known as Assabet River Bluff, 2B Upland Road, Concord, Massachusetts, will not benefit the town's interest due to unique qualities of the property, including the uniquely situated location of the property. Specifically, the property consists of approximately 6 acres of woodland with more than 775 feet of frontage along the Assabet River and is immediately adjacent to the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. Acquiring this property will allow for the town to have a large area preserved for conservation and passive recreation purposes.
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. And we'll take the vote.
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well.
No, sitting here listening to him read it, you know what? Is this because somebody else could come in and bid some other land and say, I want the 3 million, I want the million spent over here, not over here. And we didn't put it out to bid to spend the money?
But it was-
I don't think so. It's just a procurement requirement.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, good.
Yeah, for public
I
comment
don't
or
wanna
something. Yeah.
It's just as the weird. It's one
Yeah.
of those-
Pass on this one.
No, but
Thank you,
don't
Gary,
do
for the
it. You sit
motion.
here and you hear,
Yeah.
we do it, and then all of a sudden we gotta do this?
Well,
Maybe there's a court case or something that
Well,
triggered it, you know?
so town council in another town is involved in
Oh,
a
two town
lawsuit,
council.
on this.
Hmm.
So, but I don't know. the
That's the
details.
reason.
For
I
something
don't know
like
the
that.
details
Ah.
and whether
Now
or
we're
not.
talking.
All right. All right. So 7:55 had passed. Is Mark around?
Nope.
All right.
It's not,
Mark, I believe, is about 15 minutes out right now. And not to make you guys wait or sit there
No,
with you twiddling your thumbs or anything, but he also wanted to potentially be in the discussion for the tree removal and replacement policy too, but you know.
Well,
again,
that's all we got left. So
I know, I figured, I
It's
told him
one of
that,
them.
I told him I would tell you guys, but I can only do so
Okay.
much, so.
so one or the other.
Yeah, you pick it, Molly, I guess, as the de facto rep. here.
Okay, well, why don't I run through the changes
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the plan for the drainage?
That's
And
fine.
then we can kind of get the discussion going and then hopefully Mark will be on
Good
in
idea.
15 to 20 or yeah.
So
15.
do you have it open on your screen, Molly?
I do, yes, I can share my screen, yeah.
Yep.
She's hiding.
Everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Oops. Okay. So biggest revision that you can see right off the bat is that all of the other stuff that was on the plan has been removed. So it's strictly just the work that we're seeking approval for under this specific notice of intent. So the plan has been modified to show just the area of work as well as the details that pertain to the proposed work.
Right.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
It's a
doing
lot clearer. You can actually
Yeah.
see what's going on here. And then a chart of the trees to be removed has been added. There are, I believe, 15 trees, 2 of which are dead. And I know that Mark is an advocate for keeping dead trees as snags. So those will be cut to, 10 feet or whatever it may be to become a snag for the wildlife. And then the other 13 trees need to be removed due to grading. You can't have trees on, the inner part of the infiltration basin or the side slopes. So we are proposing to remove the trees that are affected by both that as well as the grading, whether it be fill or cut around the base of the tree. And we are planning to replace those 13 trees 1-to-1. So I believe, let's see, there's 4 trees being removed within the 25 to 50 foot, and then 11 trees being removed within the 50 to 100. Again, 1 dead in the 25 to 50, and then 1 dead in the 50 to 100. And we are proposing to replace 9 trees at 2-inch caliper within the 25 to 50 foot, and then 4 trees within the 50 to 100 foot, again, 2-inch caliper. And at Mark's request, nurseries, they run out of trees or species. They don't always have what may be proposed. So he wanted to leave that open, subject to what is available at the nursery. And then obviously he will have a discussion with either Delia or NRC staff to determine and obtain approval of those trees prior to purchase and planting. We also, there was a note here originally speaking to, excuse me, the existing trails and possibly needing to clear some vegetation in this area in order to maintain access to these trails. But I believe we discussed at the last meeting that both Delia and Mark went out there and the trails are pretty clear. No vegetation removal is necessary to access those trails. So that note has been removed. And I believe that was it. So, and we provided a tree protection detail. Those trees have been called out. I believe there are 4 within the limit of work that we're proposing to protect. So obviously those trees will be provided with tree protection in order to save those and protect them during construction. And I believe that Delia had mentioned to both myself and Mark about potentially planting some plants in the basin and sediment forebay. Unfortunately, that is not an option with an infiltration basin or sediment forebay. The stormwater handbook does explicitly express no trees or shrubs should be planted within the basin, as they could cause potential failure to the soils and the embankments, the root intrusion. Similarly with the sediment forebay, it does specify that grasses only should be planted within. So, and I believe Delia had mentioned, just pull up her email.
So just a pollinator seed mix.
Yes, that's what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And would that be a once or twice a year mow or
Late season mow.
late season
late
mow?
season mow.
Annual.
Yep.
mow.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can add that note to the plan to specify that, as well as the 1 annual mow.
So other states, interestingly, allow for and encourage woody plantings in infiltration basins, like the Molly's right, the Stormwater Manual of Massachusetts.
Only in Mass.
We know much better. We know.
I was
Apparently
gonna ask, not even shrubs?
No, yeah, it's the root intrusion and, just slope failure
There's no
essentially.
root- I mean, it's crazy because it actually increases
Stability.
the infiltrative capacity, right?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the uptake of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
so once it gets planted, what's the failure potential? But that's what the state, so we're not gonna go
No.
against what the state
Nope.
recommends.
So if this is on a lot line, Molly, do you know what Mark's plan is in terms of the maintenance? I mean,
Homeowner,
Yeah,
on each
so
side, you have to agree to mow?
That's a good question. I know there's going to be a homeowners association.
Oh, there
um,
is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, there is. And
Yeah, I
there's,
heard
you
that
know,
as
some
well.
language that pertains to both the existing owners and the future owners. And I know that Mark is pretty adamant about not having, because the existing owners don't have to, you know, maintain any drainage now. So he wants to enable that to continue to be that way. And so the document will specify that the future owners will be responsible for the maintenance of the infiltration basin and catch basins and area drains that are
Right.
part of the system as well.
Probably just the new, right? Because that's
The new road.
there's only catch basins on the new work, I think, right? It's-
I mean, the work goes down to where this hits Losbrook Road.
Oh, I thought it stopped short.
No,
Oh,
not on this side. On
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it
thought
does.
side
It does go all the way down.
does.
And the only maintenance that the existing owners need to provide is basically like any homeowner would, cutting grass within the right of way in front of their property. So that would be at the responsibility of the existing owners to, you know, cut the grass in the swale. But the actual, you know, if the area drains or the one catch basin need to be cleaned or removed of sediment, that will be at the responsibility of the future owners. And I'm assuming that there's going to be an HOA fee that does cover all this, but again, speculating. So
okay.
So do we need a management thing on that, or is that something?
So
do we-
I'm
we not
actually a little surprised that the homeowners would be responsible for
Catch basin cleaning.
maintaining the swale, because that should be part of the O&M plan for the whole drainage.
Yeah. I-
well, maintaining the swale very simply consists of just cutting the grass and maintaining the length of the grass. So Mark figured that was, you know, a simple enough task because, I mean, the owners maintain whatever vegetation they have within the right of way anyways. So just
Well, if
continue.
it's in the deed, it's in, you know, if it's in
Yeah.
on record, then they're gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
At least you know who to go after if it's not done.
Right.
Yeah.
Mark, I just let Mark. into-
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hey, Burke, is he hanging out there, or is he just,
He's just,
he forgot? I think
He's
he went to
hanging.
bed.
yeah, once he got on, he laid it off.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Guys talking about me?
We
Oh,
are.
Now, so
Now we are.
Yeah.
No, we were talking about another attendee.
So Mark, Molly just kind of wrapped up the overview of any, you know, changes, simplified the plan and so on, kind of walked through, I think, the highlights of the changes today. I don't think we have necessarily a heck of a lot of comments, just, I think one of them was just how this infiltration basin gets maintained as between owners. She had mentioned maybe a homeowners association that may handle a couple of these common elements.
So for the record, Mark White from AWMW, there will be a homeowners association that will be maintaining the both basins, the infiltration as well as the sediment forebay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would that tie back into the catch basin as well as part of the entire?
Correct. So the
Okay, okay.
so all the new owners are going to be responsible for maintaining the catch basins as well as the sediment forebay in the infiltration basin, you know, equally. So I think there's 5 or 6 new owners. They'd pay 16% of it, and then each homeowner would be responsible for mowing the swale in front of their driveway, in front of their houses, which is going to be really no different than mowing a lawn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Anybody have,
So we have a site visit.
oh, yes, yeah, that's right. We just for the public and up commissioners, I think we have a site visit pinned for, it's Monday at 3 p.m. On site to meet with Mark, look at the trees, you know, and just kind of see what could be saved or not saved, et cetera, and just get a look at it, if you will. So that's 3 p.m. Monday. So whoever can attend that would.
So, yeah, and so we'll be reviewing the 4 that are marked for being saved and the 13 that are marked to be removed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're able to make it, Gary, let us know. We'll need to post that as a site visit.
I mean, I'm available. I don't know if others
Great.
are.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I can make it. If
Oh, that's, yeah, of course you are. Sorry.
anything, Chris. If Bill can make it,
Yeah, I'm just checking. I think I can do it too.
great.
Good.
Sorry to miss you.
Nah, that's all right. It's kind of late notice here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, so I think we're good there.
Yeah.
So just a couple little tweaks to the plan, Molly, that we discussed, right? Adding a note on the seasonal mow and the and the conservation mix and the
Yes.
infiltration base and.
Yeah.
What-
Yep.
Well, what's that seasonal mow?
So, Massachusetts, as you know, Mark, doesn't allow woody plantings. So we're suggesting a pollinator seed mix go down. And that would be mowed annually at the end of the season. And that would just be a note on the plan.
In lieu
And
of,
included in the homeowner docs
Right.
too,
in lieu of grass,
in lieu of grass.
right?
So what does the annual seed mix look like?
It's a native seed mix. It is,
Like wildflower stuff.
Like
right?
meadow.
yeah, it's wildflowers, exactly.
Grow into a meadow and
Yeah.
then.
It would be a meadow. It would be a lovely wildflower meadow.
Well, isn't there something in the stormwater? that we
Yeah,
need to mow
that
that twice?
I kind of, I overlooked that. That was, I think, I can double check, but I think there is a specific maintenance requirement to keep the grass or, associated vegetation to 6 inches maximum.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about that offline?
Okay.
I think that we can find a way to work with that.
Okay.
That
All
sounds
right,
good.
so, all right, and so Molly, you good at, again, Friday at noon? Talk to Dealey.
Well, I mean, if there's gonna be,
Oh, this right, there's a site
sidewalk.
visit. That's
I
right.
mean, I can provide a revised plan Friday at noon with, the
No.
notes specifying.
No, I might as well wait
So let's
then.
wait
Okay.
until
Yeah, that's right.
Monday and then
Okay.
we'll talk
Capture it all.
site visit on when we need to plan.
Okay.
Just so that I'm prepared for this site walk, I thought we were just looking at the trees. Is there anything else that we're looking at?
No, just the trees, Mark. That's
Okay.
it. That's all.
Great. Gary, you're bringing your chainsaw?
Yeah. I'm a lumberjack. I'll bring my axe.
It's the long song.
Oh, yeah, sure. Need a few bodies out there too. All right, I think with that, we're good to kind of continue to Monday at 3 and then we'll go from there. And I think with that, we're left
So we'll
with
continue to the
June
June 1st.
June 1st.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
Do you think we would close on June 1st?
I don't,
I hope so.
yeah, I don't, why not necessarily? As long as.
So
we're willing to
June
plan
1st.
prior to that.
Wouldn't we need to get the plan in by Friday at
So
noon?
with so little changes that need to be made and
Okay.
we can accommodate to this.
A next week
We
filing.
can't do it for 5 projects, but
Okay.
we're very close on this and so we can relax that requirements.
Okay, great. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Why wouldn't we, and I'm just throwing this out there, I thought we had it worded so that worst case scenario, the trees that we're showing had to be removed were removed, and that we would try to save anything that we could save. We would save and not need to mitigate for it.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to be in a position Monday to sit and say that, okay, this tree, because looking at, I think it's going to take some creative grading and manipulating of the landscape to save some of these trees. And I'm willing to try that, but I'm just not sure. I mean, if we get
I mean,
into something,
I
I
think-
guess,
I think part of the reason, part of the purpose of the site visit is just to have everybody put eyes on this for this project, but also to just sort of see it in the context of the, possible changes to the tree policy. So I think that's part of it as well, because that's next on the agenda. We want to talk about that as well. Just really that part of it is for informational purposes. In terms of your project, you have what's on the plan, TBR and to be saved. And Molly's gonna put a note on the plan that if there are additional trees that can be saved, that the mitigation requirements go down. But I think it would be helpful for all of us to go out there and look at that,
Okay.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Just to put eyes on it. And
as
talk
I
about
said,
what-
I'm willing to try and be creative to save these trees. If for any reason that we try to save them and they don't survive and the policy changes, I would expect to be held to the current policy.
Sure, yeah, no, you'd be grandfathered into the
Okay.
time of the decision.
I'm good with
That's
that.
fine. And I think you end up in the same position on June 1.
Right.
Post-site visit, so I don't think there's a delay either. So,
Yeah, I mean, it would
Yeah.
apply from the time that you filed.
yeah, absolutely, yeah,
So.
typically
there's-
that's right.
Yeah.
Once it's,
Yeah.
you gotta promulgate it first before you can
Right.
hold somebody to
We're,
it.
we're trying to educate ourselves as we debate a policy that has not yet been revised or adopted, but it would only apply to projects going forward.
Right.
Yeah, post-adoption,
So you're just helping us out by
This stuff
providing
is
a
current
real life
applicants
example.
apply.
yes. All right. So Molly, Mark, you good with that? On
Yes,
this- On the subject, okay, great. All
Yes,
right,
thank you, guys.
yeah, look forward to seeing you next Monday at 3.
I had one quick question. I mean, does Molly need to be there Monday? I mean, Molly, will you have,
I wouldn't think
As
so.
long as it's staged.
Yeah.
then we should be all set.
yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you're shared. I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay. All right, so with that, we'll go to the last item of the evening, which is a discussion about the tree policy and replacement policy.
Yep.
Something we've talked about at a prior meeting, had some, obviously this would be helpful Monday at 3 p.m. to see in situ a situation on a smaller title lot. And just to lay some really basic parameters, I know Gary's been working on this as well, more so. But I think some of the idea evolving was that perhaps we kind of sync up a little bit more with the town tree bylaw in regard to the setbacks.
And mitigation,
And mitigation.
just those, I think.
Yep.
That's sort of Greg wants to make that
Yep.
distinction.
Yep, so that would flow through the setbacks, if you will, as per zoning. And then within the rest of the lot, it would be really a one-to-one replacement, right? But with a replacement that's more than just a foot or two high, perhaps with a minimum 1-inch caliper, for example.
Right.
So it's got a little bit of staying power and a little bit of, durability.
Right.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
And obviously hazardous trees, I think we'd still probably be more in keeping with the town tree bylaw by way of hazardous trees
And our
being
current
removed.
policy.
In
that-
current policy.
Yep.
Yep. And then there's I don't think we got too far in regard to, if we want to hold people to the tree replacement, or in certain circumstances, maybe there is a monetary, like the town tree bylaw, not necessarily if you don't want to do it, just pay, but maybe there's a circumstance where paying makes the most sense for the lot to be developed appropriately, or something to that effect. Anyway, there's some moving pieces there for the discussion.
Yep.
So, and Gary, certainly since you've been spearheading some of this too, would you like to, kind of clarify or add to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, my main concern with the revised policy, the draft of the revised policy that we saw before, was that it would render some lots unbuildable essentially, and it would represent sort of a taking of private property. Now, I was thinking more along the lines of the setback protections that are consistent with the tree preservation bylaw. I like that concept. We require mitigation for anything in the setback. Within, I was thinking, the 50 to 100, if there's a fully wooded lot, within the 50 to 100, and, if you have a typical 80 feet of frontage, it makes sense to, allow the outside of the setbacks, that 50 feet of frontage that wouldn't be considered part of the setbacks, also to be an area where one could reasonably expect development to take place, for private property if someone wanted to. So I just want to clarify what I'm hearing from you. I mean, that, is roughly 2,500 square feet. So I didn't know whether we were thinking, would we just sort of exempt, a 2,500 square foot area? Would we just exempt an area between the 50 or outside of the 50, between setbacks? But yeah, I'm willing to look at all kinds of options there. And the only thing that I didn't recognize that I'm hearing is, within that area, you're saying you would still rely on the prior policy of 1-to-1 stem replacement. Is that right, Delia? What you're thinking?
I think that's what it is today. I'm not sure why we necessarily go backwards on that, but that's, again,
Yeah.
open for conversation, right? Because right now it's a 1-to-1 replacement in the 50 to
So
100.
it says 1-to-1, or it says 1-to-1 trees or 2-to-1 shrubs
Shrub.
for a tree removed. And it seems a little bit sad to me if you take out a 36-inch silver maple that you're going to put in two,
Roadies.
whips of roadies or winterberry or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some capturing of, if it's going to be the 1-to-1 trees that you want to put in like a 1-inch tree.
Yeah.
For regardless of the caliber that gets taken out.
Yeah, our function in this as commission is to protect the wetlands.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and planning and everything is a different their
Zoning.
marching orders
Yeah.
Yep.
are different.
Yep.
So I think we'd have to keep it genuine to that purpose.
Right.
So, as we gradate things out, 25, 50, 50 to 100, do we count things differently?
In terms of the.
Well, you
0 to
would think the
25 is
wetlands,
more-
if you're a foot away from the wetlands and you're taking a 36 down.
Yep.
Has a different impact than 99 feet.
Right.
Are we treating them the same?
So I would suggest that you're going from 0 to 100, and you're at 0 and you're taking out a 36-inch maple, and you're going to plant a 1-inch, hopefully in that same 0 to
Same
25
zone.
zone.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're 99 feet away, you take out a 36-inch, you still only have to put in a 1-inch,
That's kind of my point.
right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm driving at. We treat inside 50 a hell of a lot different than we do outside 50 and everything else. Why are we treating it differently?
Yeah.
Because with trees, we have treated it pretty much the same.
I know.
Where you are, but I'm not sure.
But if
maybe-
you're starting to tighten things up, our job is to protect the wetlands.
Right,
I'll go to a different subject. When we talk about, what kind of chemicals you put on the lawns if they're in what they're treating. We only can do that inside the 100, even
Right.
though I always bitch that somebody right up the street can pour all the crap they want,
Right.
goes in the storm drain, goes right out in the river, and it's like, we can't say a thing about that.
Right.
That ties in a little bit with, do we treat it differently if you're taking trees down that are in the 25, 50, and 50 to 100, which would be consistent with how we think about everything else? I don't have an answer, but I'm trying to think through this thing to make it fair and
that
say,
is a good point.
So there's
Well,
a higher.
historically,
Higher burden on
people came in, in the 6 years I've sat here, and at the end of a meeting, you go, well, this 18 Crescent Street there are two trees, they're 78 feet away from the wetlands. One of them's leaning towards the house and the other one's dead. Yeah, take them down. And
Right.
we, and we,
And we see,
And they're
and
one-to-one.
you know, the,
No,
right,
but
the applicant
typically-
will replace 1-to-1.
Right, with a. sap,
so
small
it's,
sap.
I just am saying.
Yeah.
Is there,
Maybe there's something.
That's all I'm
else
saying.
people do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that, it's. a
one to
fair-
one, I mean, that may be what you got.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a fair consideration and, you know, and part of the problem, and I think Mark had raised this last time, and again, depending on lot and existing conditions,
Right.
you know, you might be hard pressed to find a home for those in those different strata. away
I
from the
don't-
wetland. It's a unknown condition each time a lot comes forward.
And Gary, what was the 2,500 square feet? Give me that, where did
Well,
that come?
So that's what I wanted to come back to, because it's along the lines of what you're talking about. I think there is an important distinction that needs to be made by difference, you know, by distance from the wetlands. If you have a residency parcel that has, you know, only 80 feet of frontage
Gotcha.
and is only 100 feet deep, that's a very different situation than a residency parcel that has 80 feet of frontage and
Mhm.
is 400 feet deep.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if it's 400 feet deep and the wetlands is 400 feet back, I'm not necessarily saying we need to grant some 2,500 foot part. You've got a very buildable parcel if you've got 400 feet of depth. I think Mark's sites on Sunnyside Lane are an excellent example for us to go and do a site visit, because these are pretty close to being only about 100 feet deep. Some are like 130 feet deep, and you know, they're almost completely wooded. And so I'd like to find a solution for our policy, going to Greg's point, that protects the wetlands, but does so in a way that doesn't render a 100-foot deep residency parcel completely
Right.
unbuildable. We have to find some way to, you know, enable somebody to use their property while protecting the wetlands, but at the same time, you know, without overly penalizing them. But at the same time, if there's more space, I don't want to necessarily say, you know, carte blanche, everybody gets to, you know, go into the buffer zone by 50 feet.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point, because in one sense, we may be going backwards on that on a small lot, which just, you know, as we try to enhance the tree policy, it seems at odds with what we're trying
Yeah.
to accomplish. You know,
And what I thought would be helpful for our discussion is, you know, I know Delia has a plan for these 3 lots that show the tree locations, and I was hoping to get some data where we could see how many trees would be removed and how many trees, you know, would be required under various mitigation proposals for each of those 3 lots, because some of them only have about, you know, 100 feet and some have more like 130 feet of
depth of frontage.
So,
Yeah.
and I think that we have that plan on the website because it was the prior submitted plan. So I think that I'm just not sure if it shows all of the southern extent of like we've got 5A 321. I don't think it shows all of lot 1, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we've got, I think
there were 3 lots that were side by side when we, you know,
Correct.
looked at what Mark
correct.
had. So if we could just count the trees and the DBH lot by lot for those 3 lots and just stick them in a table showing, you know, what it would mean under, you know, 2 or 3 different scenarios, that would help me
We could start with
decide on
the
where we want to land. And
scenario we discussed and see where we end up a little bit.
Right.
As
I
a
think
baseline.
We could do both. I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'd like to include one scenario where, you know, because I think Mark has raised a good point that there may not be physically space on site to accomplish all of the mitigation.
Yeah.
And so I think there ought to be one scenario where if we make that determination that there's no opportunity for mitigation, that a financial mitigation fund, you know, Delia, you have a fund, we could contribute to a natural resource fund as
Yeah.
an alternative.
Yeah, correct. Mark, you got your hand up?
Yeah, so there is a plan that has all the trees located from the 25-foot no disturb to the 100-foot buffer that if you don't have, I can, Delia, I thought I forwarded that to you. If not, I can forward it again.
No,
but I'll have that
we
with
have
me.
that
in the
plan. I
meeting.
believe it's on the website.
Oh, it is on the website?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, great. I was just gonna say, if it was between you all, if you could circulate it to the
If
commissioners,
it's,
that'd be
yeah,
great.
if it's not on there, I'll make sure that, let me just see.
So we can have the meeting
The other
Monday.
thing we gotta be careful that we don't end up with, what do we do, which we had a lot of, there was like a flurry of them a few years back, where Lowell Road had a couple, and where the builder comes in and does everything, passes everything the way, but tries to mitigate and not take down any more than necessary because they want to get permitted.
And then we come back in then.
They don't come in.
No,
2 years later, Mrs.
Yeah.
Gibbons comes in
yeah,
and she's petrified because a branch fell down next to Jeffrey. And you go out there, we did a site visit and we're like, 90-foot trees. It's like, well, how can you tell her no?
yeah,
Right. So it's catch-22. If you make this a panel, if you make this too egregious, then the person can say, sure, I'll leave the tree right next to the house. We're right there,
right, yeah. So-
Right, I think that's right.
But,
I
but
think-
most of those are done by way of saying they're hazardous, right?
We had quite a few that were, remember, it was like an epidemic of them.
Yep.
And then it subsided.
Right.
Okay.
But we had quite a few, maybe
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
We actually had a site visit.
I remember
on
one of them that they came back after the build,
Yeah,
and there
no,
was
we had 3 or
9
4
or 12 trees being removed around the house.
right up here on Lowell Road. was
Yeah.
one of them.
Okay,
You kind of had to tip your hat and say, yeah, geez, that tree's a heck of a
Yeah.
close. Doing this right toward the house.
yeah.
Greg, I'm trying to figure out what your concern is, though. That if we're too restrictive, then some trees might remain, that
Yes,
But then
That-
how'd you get
that-
taken down?
that's good for the wetlands.
Yeah.
Your interest is in protecting the wetlands. If
No,
the
no, but
homeowner's
when somebody
concerned-
comes in and says their child's gonna be killed.
Yeah.
Because those 4 trees were left, now you're into the position where you're penalizing that homeowner who's,
But are we? I thought, once the developer has developed the house, if there are hazard trees that remain, the homeowner has the right to come in and ask us to remove up to 5 hazard trees, right?
okay.
That's right.
And if there's mitigation associated with it, if it's in the setback, well, then the developer would have mitigated. If it's not in the setback, then, I think we should be putting the same pressure on homeowners that we are on developer, if you can if you can build a house in there, the tree's not going to be falling on Jeffrey's foot, if he's on his deck. It takes room to maneuver around a house to construct it. So I think,
The
Yeah.
ones up here were,
They were real close.
Yeah, and I think one of the projects we saw too, when they rebuilt that driveway, remember that long driveway and then,
Yes, and she wanted to initially take out 200 trees.
yeah, and then
Or
I
100
think,
trees
and
or
then
something.
some of the work that was done in either the addition or the renovation
Yep.
post,
Yep.
some of the trees started failing, whether
Right.
they're running over the root systems or
Right.
something, and then the
Right.
homeowner came back and then said, these are on the yard, I want to take out 9 or 12,
Yep.
et cetera. So there's just,
She's still asking. We just
Oh, is that
got an
right?
email this week. Yes,
Oh.
5 more.
5 more. So again, there's, issues like that arise, but understand that they would be held to the same requirements under the policy, if you will.
Right.
It just,
okay.
those things happen.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments for the evening in regard to the policy, Sarah?
So what's the next step? Are you still playing with wording and then we'll have another look?
I think the idea is maybe get a little education on Monday at 3. Maybe dealing staff will take a look at that plan in terms of, the existing trees that are on site and see what,
Well,
See
so,
what comes
so
up?
I would love it, actually. So this is the plan that's on the planning
Ah,
board website.
okay.
So it shows all of the trees. I
So
don't know, Mark, if you're interested in just getting us a chart of everything that is, in the different zones and what's in the setbacks. We can do that. I think,
you just left the houses. If you took everything out
Take the
there,
house would be easier then, yeah, take
Take-
that
all
overlay
the
out.
okay, yeah, if
superfluous
you
stuff
take everything off, then
Yep.
But the trees and the buffer zones and the side setbacks.
Sure.
that we
I can close
Okay.
those.
Yeah.
Yep,
That'd be
that's
great.
fine.
All
I
right,
don't think, I won't be able to do it by Monday.
yeah.
I'll try, but.
Mark, do you think you could assist with that or for Monday or post
I
Monday?
can, in terms of what, getting the chart together?
Yeah,
You realize how much work that is?
exactly.
I
Yeah.
can definitely assist with it, but highly unlikely I'd get that to you by Monday.
Okay, well, we'll have the site visit anyway, and then maybe it's just it's a follow-up with the chart so we can continue the discussion.
I think getting that plan that doesn't have anything else
Yep.
but the buffer zones, the trees,
That's what I think.
the
Yeah,
lot
that'd be a
lines
big
and
help.
the building
I think-
envelope will make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Cordelia, you want the lot lines?
Building
Building
envelope,
envelope.
trees and buffer zones.
That's-
And you were looking for just to have each tree identified on a separate chart other than what's already on the plan?
By buffer zone, I think that's the question,
Well,
right?
by
My
buffer zones,
only,
by
I
setback,
have
Yeah.
no
by
issue.
lot.
Yeah,
I have no issue in producing something like that, but I think it would be more useful to come back and say, okay, I think this tree needs to be removed, as opposed to saying this tree is in the 50-foot buffer and never gonna touch it. I mean, I think it would be
Right.
more meaningful to come in and say, okay, these are the trees I think need to be removed.
Right. I mean, I think for your project specifically, that's right. I think for the discussion on the policy, that's a separate question. But I also, I mean, there were a number of trees from these lots outside of the buffer zone that have already been removed. So it makes it a little more, comparing apples to oranges a tiny bit, because we don't have anything else. Well, does that matter? We don't have anything outside of the 100.
that won't matter to us, though, right?
Well, the side setbacks.
On the side, but that would be under the tree bylaw anyway, right? Beyond the 100?
It is, so it's a little, to me, it's a little bit gray. You have the side setbacks, you have the 100-foot.
Yeah.
So you have two processes
Mhm.
working, overlapping, so that
Yeah.
you have planning board reviewing stuff outside.
Yeah.
The 100-foot in the side setback, and then NRC is reviewing within.
100, yeah.
I guess that's how it works. but
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so maybe
and
it's
that's our
not,
goal, is to come up with a policy that's at least aligned to the extent that it can be
right,
Right.
to reviewing authorities
Yeah.
right, okay,
and using similar levels of mitigation where, required and so forth. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Says Mark's hand.
Mark, are you good? Or you got
Yeah,
your
I
hand up?
I had a bunch of comments I wanted to make. I just didn't know when it was appropriate.
You got it. You got the floor.
When you do get something in writing, could that be forwarded to me so I
Of
can
course.
review it as well?
Yeah,
of
course.
One thing that, and I assume when I listen to everybody, they're saying you're trying to align it with the planning board's tree preservation bylaw?
I think in certain circumstances, yes, but not
Because
entirely.
the one thing that particularly in this case, under the tree preservation bylaw, any of those trees that would need to be removed for the retention basins would not need to be replicated for, because it's part of the subdivision. So the other question I had, I didn't hear you mention anything about invasives when it was coming into the replacements.
So I think right now we're just talking about, sort of more of a high level.
Okay.
There will be something that is redrafted. I'm looking for feedback from the commission so that I can redraft something.
Yeah.
We had talked at the last time we talked about this, maybe doing, a legal notice or some other notification to get public feedback,
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah,
So-
once we get in, quote unquote, close to final draft form, right? We want to advertise for it, get some commentary.
And that's a question. I mean, do we want to wait that long, or do we want to do it earlier?
Well, I guess the question is, what's it going to take us to put it in final draft?
Right.
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 I think after Monday, we learn a little bit.
Yes.
And then we can
Yeah.
And then at that
You
point,
need
we
something
can,
for people to react to.
Yeah.
otherwise-
I
yeah.
agree.
and I think, quite frankly, a very simple optics in terms of graphic would be really helpful.
So helpful.
Whether it's smaller lot, larger lot, but
Right.
I think that would be helpful for the public.
You go. You go.
Oh, no. We'll go offline with that discussion. All right. Mark, do you have any additional comments?
Yep, so in terms of notifying the public, I think it would be in the board's best interest to make some sort of public notification. I don't think you're gonna get anybody, with the exception of myself, to attend that. But
Oh, I think,
you're,
I can think of a couple.
well, all right, so, but I think you.
All in good
Yeah.
intent, so,
Absolutely, and it's good to get.
I just think that-
it's a Stronger.
yeah, I do too.
Policy or.
Yeah, I just think it would be in the board's best interest. And then in terms of locations for mitigation, I know the initial policy said that you could only mitigate within the resource area. In a site like this, at Sunnyside, there's a lot of areas outside of the resource area where I could plant trees. Over on 5B or on 42 or even on Pond, that right now are pretty much, I don't want to say bare lots, but there aren't a lot of trees on them. And my final comment is that going back to a homeowner coming back in and cutting a tree because a builder left a tree that is marginal but didn't want to mitigate for it. Keep in mind that I realize that the homeowner can come back and remove 5 trees, but it's not like it's not like the removal of those trees are free. After a builder has put a house up, you typically need to bring a crane in to remove those trees. So it's quite a financial burden.
Yeah.
So it's really in the homeowner's best interest, if it's a marginal tree, to remove it.
Yep.
And then mitigate, but because I can tell you, it's extremely expensive to come back compared to how much it costs when there's nothing there to cut that tree down.
You bet. Yeah. No, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I think
We actually talked about, people came in front of us, if you remember, saying, to put a big addition on it, saying, you sure that tree shouldn't be coming down?
Right.
To avert what Mark's talking about.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, you bring that up quite often.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask what the difference is? Like, I mean, what would it cost to remove on a per tree basis, when it's a wide open, clear field versus bringing the crane in? I mean,
I think you're looking, and if you're talking just one tree, Gary, I bet you probably wouldn't, and let's just assume, because you really have to put it into some specifics, but assume you're cutting down 20 trees. Cutting down that 21st, and I'm just using a number, Gary. So cutting down that 21st tree, they may not even charge you more. They might look and say, because typically your tree clearers come in and say, okay, I've got a crew that I got to keep busy for a day, and that's X dollars. So whether it takes them 5 hours or 6 hours, you're going to get charged the same amount. Whereas if they're coming back in for just one tree, crane alone is $2,500.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got to pay the crew for at least a half day because you got travel.
Everything. Yeah.
Right. So 3 to 4 times as much, just ballpark.
well, I'm saying like, I'm
more than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
More
I
than
would
that.
think,
Just go back to
5
zero.
trees is a better thing.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you're taking out 5 trees, you're maybe spending a half a day or something like that. And if it's wide open and clear, what would it cost versus the $3,000 or $4,000 to bring in a crane and take out 5 trees?
Well, like I said, when you're coming in with a crane, it's a lot slower and tedious.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
those 5 trees are probably going to take you a day, whereas if there's nothing there, they would remove those trees. And I'm not sure if you've seen operations, but they come in and they're gone in a blink of an eye.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for
And
that.
I'm just bringing, I realize that it's nothing to do with protecting the wetlands. I'm just saying from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
It's good to know. Appreciate that.
guilty. Oh, that's not true.
What's that?
Being nosy.
Okay. Okay. All right, so with that, I think we can hold it here in terms of discussion, if the commissioners are good with that.
Yep.
And we'll see some folks out on site Monday at 3, and we'll go from there.
Mhm.
Thank
Sounds
you,
good.
Mark. Appreciate the commentary.
Thanks. Enjoy your night.
All right. And with that, do we have a
Adjourn.
adjourn?
Can I get a copy of that policy?